Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Rundown. I will be your host today, Craig DeLuz, coming at you from the West Coast, the left coast, behind the Iron Curtain, otherwise known as the Sierras. And today is Hump Day.
Uh-oh. Mike. What day is it, Mike?
It's hump day.
Hump day!
It's hump day.
Hump day!
That's right, folks. Today is Hump Day. This is the day in which we attempt to begin the weekend, sometimes with success, sometimes not. But as I always like to say, the fun is all in the trying. We're here having a good time, looking forward to the conversation about the upcoming news of the day, or the news of the day. Oh, excuse me. Okay, let's go ahead and before we get into it, let's do as we usually do and start off with a quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with the folks over at Hitman Industries. Hitman Industries makes rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at any length. All you have to do is go to hitmanindustries.net, go there, check them out, and and buy yourself a barrel. I mean, it's real simple. They make it really easy. Not only that, if you've bought an AR recently, chances are you already have one of their barrels. So why not get another one? So whether you're looking to do a brand new build, or you're looking to rebarrel your old rifle, just go ahead, start your journey, start your project over with Hitman Industries. And then we've got the California Republican Assembly. They're working to help elect conservatives at all level of government, from school board all the way up to President of the United States. They are the largest and fastest growing grassroots conservative organization in the state of California. You need to find out why. How do you do that? Visit their website at cragop.org. That's cragop.org. If you want to be a part of California's future today, you got to join CRA. And then we've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market. You will find them at hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com. Go there, check them out. And if you like what you see, you can go ahead and get yourself a hog holster on discount. Just make sure you use the discount code The Rundown. All caps, one word, no space, just like it is right up there, and you're going to get your hog holster on discount. Once again, hogholsters.com. That's HAWG holsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finally, you've got the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. That would be at uscombatgear.com. They specialize in group sales. Go there, check them out. You will find all sorts of stuff that you need because they have a huge selection of products. They have so like I said, they have a great selection. They have really competitive pricing, especially for group sales, and the best customer service available on the market. So check them out today, uscombatgear.com. And then finally, if you're watching this show during the 3:00 hour on the West Coast or during the 6:00 hour on the East Coast, you are watching live, which means that I am taking your comments. I am listening to what you have to say, and I would love, let me say it again, I would love to hear from you. Just go ahead and drop a comment in. I will check it out. If I find it to be interesting, I will go ahead and I will share it with the rest of the audience. Now, mind you, you can even disagree with me. I have no problem with you disagreeing with me because, well, that's probably the most interesting, because that then gives me the opportunity to mock you.
Oh wow, is that a mockingbird?
Yes, sorry, Bob. That gives us the opportunity to mock you. Well, let's just say, as Mike would say, we will mock you. All right, let's get into today's news stories. Excuse me. Let's start with a huge one. So yesterday, I talked to you about a situation, about a case where Meta was basically found to be negligent when it came to protecting children from predators. Well, today, and that was today. But that, by the way, that case right there was an attorney general there in New Mexico that was suing Meta. Now, this is a little bit different because this is a one person decided to sue. She's now 19 years old, but she basically sued Meta and Google or YouTube in order to basically say that they were addicted. And it has been deemed by a jury that found by a jury that they were in fact negligent in the social media addiction. And here to explain, here's a little piece where they're kind of explaining the case a little bit. And I got to tell you, this thing is going to open the floodgates, to say the least.
This is a civil trial. The main plaintiff is now a 19-year-old female, but according to everything that I looked at and read into, this is when this person was younger, discussing that the way these social media sites, whether it's Instagram, Facebook, X, whatever, the way they program the algorithms, it's so addictive that a kid couldn't turn away. Because, I mean, that's the argument you got to make in front of a jury and a judge, is that, hey, I'm here trying to get millions because I'm depressed, I was bullied, and I almost killed myself because your product made me that way. That's a big stretch, even in a civil case. What do you think about this case?
It is a big stretch. It's basically the drug pusher argument. The social media companies, the tech companies, Meta, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, OnlyFans, you name it, that they're all designed essentially to rope in their viewers and keep them there. And it's not a incorrect argument. That is exactly how they've set it up. And they do use algorithms for this. The challenge is overcoming the barrier of what is the accountability of the user, or in the case of children, of the parents, to help prevent the drugs from coming in through the phone 24/7.
Yeah. Now, I will point out, I think I read in this particular case, because it's Meta, which owns Facebook and Instagram and YouTube, are the biggest ones on trial. According to what I saw, Snapchat and who was it? Not X. It's Snapchat and I think TikTok. They already paid. They didn't want to go to trial. Now, again, to me, that's not an admission of guilt. We here at OAN know how much lawyers cost after frivolous lawsuits, and I look at it as, well, it's California. They allow everything to go to trial. And so probably TikTok and Snapchat went, let's just give her a couple mil and move on with life because it's not worth it paying attorneys. That doesn't mean they're guilty of it. It means they don't want to go to trial and deal with all the crap. You mentioned something about parents' responsibility. That's the biggest thing for me. How can you say, and it's like cigarettes, alcohol, whatever, you can't smoke in California or drink till you're 21, right? So if my kid gets addicted to cigarettes or booze at 15, is that Marlboro or Bud Light's fault? No, it's my fault for not watching my 15-year-old.
Well, and I think he makes a big point. And the interesting thing is, though, it doesn't look like the jury agreed with him.
Jury awards $3 million in damages to Kaylee GM. Now, this was a single plaintiff case as opposed to the New Mexico one, which was sort of a more generalized case, which was $5,000 penalty per violation, adding up to $375 million. So this is a single award of damages. Meta apparently liable for 70% of the damages, which would leave 30% to YouTube. So a $3 million award for Kaylee GM. How does that strike you, Josh?
Well, as far as, writing checks for these two huge multi-billion-dollar companies, it's nothing. But it's huge as far as what it means for all of the other plaintiffs. This is now blood in the water. They now
Exactly. There's now blood in the water. And this being reported by Breitbart. Says here, a Los Angeles jury has found Mark Zuckerberg's Meta and Google's YouTube liable in a groundbreaking lawsuit concerning harm to children using their platforms, awarding $3 million in damages to a young woman who claims social media addiction during childhood worsened her mental health. NBC News reports that in a precedent-setting verdict, jurors in the high-profile social media addiction trial deliberated for more than 40 hours across 9 days before determining that both Meta and YouTube were negligent in the design and operation of their platforms. The jury concluded that each company's negligence was a substantial factor in causing harm to the plaintiff, a 20-year-old woman who testified that her childhood use of social media created an addiction to the technology and aggravated her mental health problems. So let's be clear. One, they're not saying that it caused, or at least she's not saying that it caused her her mental health problem. She's saying that it aggravated it. And the host from OAN, I have to say I think there's a couple of things here. Number one is in particular, once again, if we're talking about children, we have to be very, very careful because, to a certain degree, once again, we as parents have and bear some responsibility. The fact that this was a jury in Los Angeles, California is not lost on me. One can easily look at that and say, okay, well, it's LA, so we all know how people feel, we all know the politics of the county of Los Angeles. Let's just put it that way. In any case, this is just, it's only a $3 million verdict. Now, mind you, but here's the deal. It is precedent setting, meaning there's going to be a whole bunch of lawsuits that are now going to follow. There's going to be a whole lot more lawsuits. There's going to be multiple, there's going to be multiple, what do they call them? Class action lawsuits. Wouldn't be surprised to see class action lawsuits come of this. Once again, this whole thing, the whole idea here is largely going to be that, well, you made your product so that I didn't want to not use it. Okay, isn't that kind of what everyone does with the project? I mean, is not my goal right now to make this show so addicting that you're going to want to watch every single episode, right? You're going to want to watch. You're going to want to read the stuff that I write. Is that not my goal? Is it not the goal of McDonald's to make their food taste in such a way that you have to have? You're like, wow. You're driving down the street, and don't tell me you've never done this. You're driving down the street, and you're thinking, you know what? I could really, really, really use some McDonald's fries right now, right? You're telling me that they can't. Can they then be held accountable? Can I not then sue them for making me fat? What about the people who make, high fructose corn syrup, right? I've always said high fructose corn syrup is how do I want to put it? I call it high fructose corn syrup is to sugar what crack is. High fructose corn syrup is to sugar what crack is to cocaine, right? Meaning cocaine ain't good for you, but crack is way more addicting and way worse for you, right? Same exact thing with high fructose corn syrup. So now, are we going to be able to sue the companies? Now, here's the thing that I will say: if there were ways in which, if they knew that it was addicting, if they knew that it was causing mental health problems, which I believe there is evidence that they did, and they knew that there were ways to keep young people off of it, and they did not do it, they did not take steps to try and make that happen, could there be an era of liability? Maybe. I think you've got a case with that. In fact, one of the things that was made very, very clear in this case was this was not about the content, right? This was about the tools. This was about the things that they did that made it so that people kept going. And I've had this happen before. You know the doom scrolling. Although I don't doom scroll that often. I don't sit there and just go video after video after video. I don't do that a lot. But I have been known to do it every great once in a while when I've got nothing better to do. But in the end, I'm the one responsible for how I choose to spend my time. Now, once again, very different when we're talking about minors. And that may be where we're going to see a lot of these lawsuits happen. Eventually, we're going to start to see, well, are adults going to be able to make the same claim? Are they going to get away with making the same claim? Who knows? But it definitely opens up a whole area of liability. And folks, you need to understand something. And this is the other thing to understand about these is that if these things go through, if these lawsuits go through, if these things keep being settled, you could very well see some of these products go away. Or at the very least, you may see them start to charge for them. Right? Anyway, it's going to be real interesting to see what winds up happening, but I guarantee you this is just once again the first of what is likely to be many of these lawsuits. And by the way, you're going to start to see some of these companies are going to start to invest in politicians to pass laws to protect them from these lawsuits. So keep an eye on your local politician, because do not be surprised if Meta, if Google decide that they want to try and buy some influence. It's gonna happen. I'll just warn you now, right now, it is going to happen. Talk about buying influence. Let's check out what's going on in the hometown of Donald Trump. That's right, Donald Trump, who, by the way, is became a Republican not long. Well, I don't know how long he's been a Republican, but I'll just say this. Donald Trump spent a lot of his time hobnobbing with Democrats, and now he's going to have an opportunity to hobnob with another Democrat that is going to be representing him in Florida's State House. Being reported by Politico, Mar-a-Lago flip. Dems win Trump's hometown Florida House district. Says here, Tuesday's results add more tallies to the trend of Democrats flipping Republican-held seats in state legislatures across the country over the past 14 months. Says here, Democrats sent a jolt Tuesday through reliably red Florida, flipping 2 legislative seats, including the district containing President Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago home. Democrat Emily Gregory defeated the Trump-endorsed GOP state house candidate in a hotly contested race that had seen Democrats pour money and support into an effort to take hold of the Palm Beach County District. But Democrats also narrowly squeaked out a win in a Tampa state Senate seat that was held by Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins until last August. The win won't change the overall control of Florida legislature's Republican supermajority, but the victories were quickly heralded by the state and national Democrats after years of GOP domination in the Sunshine State, and even jokes from Governor Ron DeSantis that the state party was practically dead. And Tuesday's results add more tallies to the trend of Democrats flipping Republican-held seats in state legislatures across the country over the past 14 months. Now, is this something new or crazy? No, because usually what winds up happening is whatever party controls the White House, the other party basically gets blamed for everything. So if anyone is unhappy with anything, what usually winds up happening is the party in power, and when I say the party in power, I'm talking about the one who holds the White House, generally tends to take some hits. In this case, they've got control of not just the White House, they've got control of both houses of Congress. One could easily say that there's a conservative or a right-leaning Supreme Court. And then in Florida itself, they have a super majority. So, yeah, they would definitely be considered the party in power. And if people are pissed off, they're going to go after the party in power. That happens to be Donald Trump's party. Is this a sign of things to come? We shall see. One of the things that we cannot do is sit back and rest on our laurels, because one of the things that's been shown is when Donald Trump is not on the ballot. Well, let me clarify. When he's not actually on the ballot, because with Democrats, he's always on the ballot. Every Democrat running right now is basically vowing that they are going to get Trump, that they are going to fight Donald Trump. They're going to do whatever. That's their thing. Trump is always on the ballot where Democrats are concerned. The challenge is for Trump voters. If Trump is not actually on the ballot, many Trump voters don't show up. That is sad to say, but many of them don't. And we kind of need them to show up. They need them to show up, because if they want to stop the policies that they put Donald Trump in to stop, Donald Trump needs some help. He's doing what he can with executive orders. He's doing what he can at the federal level. But there's tons of stuff going on at the state, at the local levels, right? There's things that he cannot do with executive order. And oh, by the way, even the executive orders that he has put in place can be overturned by the next president unless they're codified in law. So we need them to show up. And this is a sign that they're not showing up. Even when he endorses somebody, I mean, I think his endorsement may be making differences in Republican primaries, but they're not making differences in general elections. And that ain't good. That is not good. Anyway, we can't rest on our laurels. We've got to get out. We've got to get engaged. We've got to be participating in these elections. And we've got to be encouraging people to show up to the polls. In particular, once again, we need MAGA voters. If you are a MAGA voter, meaning, first of all, if you are a voter, period, you need to be showing up to the polls. In particular, if you are a conservative voter. If you are a MAGA voter, and I'll be the first to say, not all MAGA voters are conservatives. Not all conservatives are MAGA. There are many things that I look at that where the MAGA agenda aligns with the conservative agenda, and some places where it does not. So, but for the most part, MAGA is more Republican than any Democrat, to be honest. So anyway, we got to make sure that we show up to the polls, and that we get folks to show up to the polls, because that's right here. I'm going to tell you right now that more than likely is an issue of voter turnout. People seem to think that when Donald Trump's elected, well, that's it. That's all we got to do. All is good. No problems. We're good. Know what I mean? Charles Simeon says this isn't an indicator that Trump's policies are unpopular. I have no idea of the voting history there. Sounds like identity politics regarding Trump needing to be on the ticket. It's not so much identity politics as it is. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Star power, right? There's this idea that we have to have a big name or a big star. There are people who are going to vote for Donald Trump just because he's Donald Trump, right? There are people who hate him because he is Donald Trump. And for some reason, we become this cult of celebrity. That's the word I was looking for. It's that cult of celebrity that worried me with Arnold Schwarzenegger. And Arnold Schwarzenegger, when he was governor of California, eventually wound up governing like any other liberal left-wing Democrat would, sadly. And that was one of the concerns that I had when Donald Trump was running as a good Republican. And I am glad to say I was wrong. He actually has governed for the most part as a conservative, and has been pretty darn good, pretty more conservative than, say, George W. Bush or George H.W. Bush. He was more conservative than Ronald Reagan was when he was governor, but not so much more conservative. Well, I think it's arguable when it comes to his president. His rhetoric has not been as conservative as Reagan's was, but he's been the most pro-life president of my lifetime. Anyway, he's also done more for the Second Amendment than any other president in my lifetime. When I say that, I'm specifically talking about his Supreme Court justices and the establishment of an office to actually go after people or go after municipalities that are violating our Second Amendment rights. So anyway, it says a lot. It really does say a lot. And folks, look, if you're a MAGA voter out there, if you're a Trump voter, you need to show up to the polls. You need to show up to the polls. You need to vote for candidates whose values are consistent with those that you believe that you're supporting in Donald Trump. And that would more than likely, I'm going to say this, it would more than likely be a Republican. I'm not going to say that there are no Democrats that it could exemplify those values. We got one right here in Sacramento County, our sheriff, who on most things has been a very active Democrat, but when it comes to enforcing the law and going after criminals, he's been solid. He's been solid here in Sacramento County. So they do exist. There's just not a whole lot of them. Charles chimed in again. I would vote Republican versus third-party protest vote if their candidates signed pledges not to take APAC, et cetera, money. Here's the thing, dude. APAC does not give a lot of money. It's not even in the top 10 or 20 of campaign donors. It really isn't. I don't know why people think Israel gives all this money to the people give all this money to politicians. They don't. And by the way, the most of the money that they do give goes to Democrats. Sorry to tell you that, but most of it goes to Democrats. Anyway, all right, that takes us now to our next story. A bill that is barring landlords from banning guns is going to head to the governor's desk there in Tennessee. Now, this is a big one. All right, this is a big one because so think about this. Right now, and right now in some states, if you rent a place, if you rent a space, an apartment, or you rent a house, in some places, your landlord can actually say you are not allowed to have a firearm on their property. This is being reported by the folks over at Truth About Guns. A measure that would bar Tennessee landlords from banning their tenants from lawfully possessing, carrying, transporting, or storing a firearm components, or ammunition in or on rental properties has passed the House and the Senate and is now before Republican Governor Bill Lee for his consideration. If signed by the governor, Senate Bill 350 would apply to new or renewed leases beginning January 1st, 2027. The change could positively affect thousands of tenants in the volunteer state. The bill states, quote, a landlord shall not prohibit a tenant or a tenant's guest from lawfully possessing, carrying, transporting, or storing a firearm, any part of a firearm, or firearm ammunition in the tenant's home, apartment, or business, in a vehicle located in a parking area provided for tenants or tenants' guests by the landlord of the leased premises, or in other locations controlled by the landlord as necessary to enter or exit the tenant's home, apartment, or business, to enter or exit the leased premises, or to enter or exit a vehicle located on the leased premises or in a parking area provided by the landlord for tenants or the tenant's guests. The measure also provides tenants with a way to pursue legal action against landlords who do not comply with the law. And this is real simple. Imagine if a landlord basically said, you don't have your right to freedom of speech. What if they said, if you vote a certain way, right? We're not going to rent to you. Anyway, this is important because once again, if you have a right to keep and bear arms, we've always known that you had a right to keep and bear arms in your home. And if your home is a place that is rented, they cannot bar you or ban you from being able to legally possess that firearm. Once again, legally, meaning if you are prohibited from owning or possessing firearms, then you can't own or possess it legally on their property. So once again, this deals with legally. Once again, these are legal. These are legal and lawful gun owners. I think this should. I would be surprised if there was not already, or if there was not case precedent in this particular area where, if it didn't happen through legislation, I could very easily see the Supreme Court ruling that, you can't bar someone from owning or possessing a firearm in their home. I find it very, very difficult to believe that would not. I find it difficult to believe it's not already some sort of a legal precedent. But anyway, this is a hats off to Tennessee. I probably should spend some time looking and see what other states, finding out states where this is the law or this isn't the law, where you can actually ban that. That would be something that would be very, very interesting to know. All right, next up, Eric Swalwell, candidate for governor, is in California, is in the news, and he's in the news because, well, he's out, he's talking about Fang Fang. And this was a podcast. I guess recently he was, I'll I'll let you watch the thing, and then I'll read the story that's over at the California Post.
They are constantly hitting on this whole Fang situation. And you've got voters that are out there. I mean, you talked about the possibility of 2 Republicans being on top of the ticket. I mean, like, do you want to just clear the air on like what happened there and like what the?
Yeah, I would say that the air was cleared immediately by the FBI when there was even a suggestion of wrongdoing. The FBI put out 2 statements to the Wall Street Journal and the San Francisco Chronicle saying, never any wrongdoing. All he did was help us when we identified somebody who might not be who they were presenting themselves as. Then the Washington Post fact checker looked at these allegations, said the same thing as the FBI. And then Kevin McCarthy, who wanted to create a thing and refers it to the ethics committee, his own ethics committee chair puts out a bipartisan, unanimous, decision that they're not investigating. They didn't see any wrongdoing. So I think independent folks have said enough on this. And, for me, defamation is the highest form of flattery.
Okay, let's be clear. There's a couple of things here that was very clear that he did not discuss. Now, first of all, there's a reason why this is coming out now, why he's having to talk about it, because it's as noted here, Swalwell breaks silence on Chinese spy rumors as $300,000 in payments revealed. Now, this is once again from his campaign accounts. Let's read a little bit about this here. It says here, California governor candidate Eric Swalwell is speaking out about the Chinese spy who infiltrated his office. And yes, this person was deemed to be a Chinese spy. He said someone who wasn't who they claimed to be. No, this person was a Chinese spy. Anyway, Swalwell insisted he was cleared of wrongdoing, dismissing the scandal as a political hit job in a new podcast interview shared with the California Post. The air was cleared immediately by the FBI. There was even a suggestion of wrongdoing. Swalwell told sources say podcast. I'm not going to reread what he said here. See, let's listen who Fang Fang is. Christine Fang, a suspected Chinese intelligence operative, also known as Fang Fang, developed extensive ties with Swalwell starting when he was a Dublin City Council member, bundling donations for his 2014 re-election campaign and even recommending staff for his office, according to an Axios investigation. Fang, a member of a former student at California State University East Bay, was secretly working as an intelligence agent targeting political up-and-comers like Swalwell and cultivated sexual relationships with at least 2 Midwestern mayors, U.S. officials told Axios. She began cultivating ties with Swalwell when he was a member of the Dublin City Council, investigators found. Federal investigators were so spooked by Fang's activities that they gave Swalwell what is known as a defensive briefing around 2015 per Axios. Swalwell had been assigned a seat on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, a post with access to sensitive national security intel in January of 2015. Now, here's the thing. No one was accusing him of working with a spy. What everyone knows is, or pretty sure is he was sleeping with a Chinese spy, with someone whose job it was, someone who worked for the Chinese government in order to cozy up and build relationships with political up-and-comers in the United States of America. That was him. And the reason why McCarthy took him off of the Intelligence Committee was because if you don't have the good sense not to sleep with the Chinese spy, then perhaps you shouldn't have access to some of the most important classified secrets of the United States of America. Right? Because we don't know what he says during his pillow talk. Once again, nobody is saying that he gave away any secrets. No one has evidence. And that's what the FBI said. That's what well, first of all, keep in mind, this is the very same ethics committee that has no problem, absolutely no problem. It votes unanimously whenever someone does something that looks kind of shady, whenever one of their colleagues does something that looks kind of shady. You know, like like the one congressman who got caught with $90,000 in his freezer, money that was tied to a bribery scandal. Yeah, they didn't have anything to say about that. They have no problem with when a Republican member basically bought a piece of property, changed the law that affected and increased the value of that property, and then turned around and sold the property for a ton more money than he bought it for, because it had been improved by the law that he passed. Ethics committee had no problem with that. So yeah, no, the ethics committee there in the House ethics, there's no ethics in the House ethics committee. Let's just be honest. Let me not say that. Let me just say the degree to which they hold people accountable for their ethical failings is dubious. I feel comfortable saying that. But anyway, suffice it to say, dude was sleeping with a Chinese spy. I think we all kind of know that. And it wasn't a mystery. Everyone, people kind of knew it. Anyway, people kind of knew that's what was going down. Anyway, folks, that now brings us to our parting shots. Parting shots are brought to you by Hog Holsters. Just go to hogholsters.com. Use the discount code The Rundown, all caps, no spaces, one word. This first one here has to do with it has to do with TSA. And I gotta say this she's called her the salty tattooed whatever, I forget what her name is, but man, her commentaries are just spot on, and here she knocks another one out of the park. Now, for those of you who are just listening, the first part where all you hear is the music, there's a tweet that's going to come up saying ICE has no business at airports. And she rips this one apart. You're going to love it.
Wait. What?
Sorry, I was waiting for the punchline on that one. Can anyone here tell the class what the C stands for in ICE?
Me! I know the answer to this question.
Customs. And they've been at airports for years. They have been doing investigations, they bust smugglers, and they handle deportations straight from the gate. And guess who touches every single one of your little Amazon packages before it hits your front door? An ICE officer in customs. So what's the difference now? Besides the Democrats wanting to gaslight you into this is something new, Trump has sent extra agents to help the understaffed TSA because once again, the Democrats are holding the government hostage over funding for ICE, even though it's already funded. But thanks to these elected officials who can't even read an acronym, we get genius posts like this. Oh, y'all are retarded. Y'all act as if the rest of the world doesn't literally use their military as their TSA. But sure, having immigration and custom agents at the first place that everybody comes through when they come into the country is tyranny and slavery.
You are really dumb.
This is fun. Have a day.
Yeah, she's good. She nails it. Yeah, the fact that there's customs in the name, yeah, they're already there. They are already there in the airport. I don't know why y'all don't get that. Anyway, here's another one, and we haven't reported much on this story, but this is a piece. This is from over at Saturday Night Live. Anyway, talking about the whole Afro Man thing, what's been going on with him over the last few years, and a trial that just ended, which arguably, and people are saying, hey, it's a huge win for freedom of speech, and in particular, freedom of speech when from government abuse to respond to government abuse. Anyway, I love this.
Back in 2022, local police in Ohio busted down Afro Man's door, rummaged through his clothes, took money from his house, scared his kids, all to look for evidence of crimes that they never ended up charging him with. After a raid like this, a lot of people might try to lay low for a while, not piss off the cops. But Afro Man happened to notice this particular moment where one of the deputies was searching his kitchen and looked longingly at a lemon pound cake. And Afro Man did what Afro Man does.
He released multiple satirical music videos that included images, you're seeing some of that here,
of these officers.
Mama's women pound cake. It tastes so nice. It made the sheriff wanna put down his gun and cut him a slice.
A lot of people found these Cuck the Police music videos funny, but the police officers who starred in them did not. So, last year they sued Afro Man for defamation. And right away, the officers had a problem, which is that when you sue someone for making fun of you, you have to get up on the witness stand and talk about how badly you suffered from it. Which led to moments like this.
Sean, you were called Officer Pound Cake by Mr. Foreman?
Multiple times. You saved hundreds of pound cakes at work and with the people.
Whoa.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was the Daily Show, not Saturday Night Live. Anyway, sorry about that. Just showing him not showing him from the neck up. I zoomed in on the video because it was a vertical video, and I thought the whole thing was just anyway. My bad. Anyway, for those of you listening, guess it really didn't affect you. Anyway, and then here finally we have 8 tips for getting through TSA faster because I'm going to be heading out to Washington D.C. next Saturday. I'll be in DC for part of the week, and then I'll be out at NRA for part of the week. So I'm going to need to take advantage of this one. It's here. It says, number 1, arrive at least 1 week early for your flight, just to be safe. Okay. Naruto, run through the line. No one will stop you. It's science. Okay, whatever that means. Bring a car horn and honk at everyone ahead of you who is moving too slowly. All right. Show up at the airport naked. Well, you almost have to do that because, man, well, not anymore, but I felt like that sometimes. Anyway, it says declare all knives, firearms, and giant anime swords before you get to the screener. Yeah. Ask people ahead of you if you can cut line because you have a plane to catch, because that always works. Never pisses anyone off. Just tell security that you're just carrying an emotional support box cutter. Okay. And build a time machine and go back to the 1990s. Well before there was a whole bunch of screening that you had to go through to get on a plane. Anyway, folks, that's going to be it for today's show. But before we go, we're going to do one more quick shout out to our sponsors. We're going to start with Hitman Industries. They make rifle and pistol caliber barrels available for you to purchase at hitmanindustries.net. We got the California Republican Assembly, the conscience of the Republican Party. Check them out at cragop.org. We've got the best in concealed carry tactical holsters available on the market at hogholsters.com. That's HAWGholsters.com, helping Americans wear guns. And then finding the place where you can find all things tactical except the gun. That would be at uscombatgear.com. And with that, we're going to go ahead and call it a show. I will be back tomorrow on Throat Punch Thursday. Till then, you have fun, stay safe, and we'll see you manana.